হয়তো বেশি, হয়তো সবই হয়তো
5 minutes.
Or no, can you change the layout to the speaker mode?
I didn't hear. Can you tell me again?
Can you change the layout? Yeah, now it's fine.
Cool.
All right. So hi everyone, and welcome to today's session. It is indeed a very special one because this is our first TEDx speaker who is in IEM, and also this is the last guest speaker which we will be having before our closing ceremony for Diversion. So today's speaker is the student community lead of Postman, Ali Mustafa. And without any further ado, I'll just let him introduce himself.
Thank you, Surya, for having me here. I hope you had a wonderful sessions earlier. So about myself, my name is Ali, and if I wish to introduce myself in one liner, I say I build human networks, not the computer ones because they are creepy, and obviously I don't like them. But humans, on the other hand, are very friendly, and I love to kind of build communities, and that's what I've been doing all my life. So I started my journey while in diploma, kind of walked around communities for 4 5 years, and then joined Postman as a student committee manager. And now I'm the student committee lead here. So what I do on a day-to-day basis is to build student programs for Postman and kind of enable students to kind of, be part of these programs and kind of, get some benefits out of it and excel in their careers. So yeah, that's about me.
All right, so welcome to Diversion. Oh, also just to let you know about our audience today, we ran a little poll to the audience, and more than 70% of our audience already know about Postman. But to the people who still do not know what this amazing tool is and would like to know more about it and what the community has to offer about the different student programs, I think Alisa has created a little slide for you guys.
Yes. So I don't have a slide in particular, but I'll quickly share my screen and show you, some program sites and stuff. But yeah, just to start with the question, what is Postman? So Postman is an API collaborative platform. When I say collaborative, I literally mean collaborative. So it's not meant to be used, just as an individual. Obviously, you might have used Postman alone while working with APIs and then, building APIs and stuff. But API, when I talk about Postman, it kind of supports the complete life cycle of an API. So from designing an API to kind of coding that up to writing the documentation and to share it with your friends and your developers, everything is covered in an end-to-end capacity. And it's used by a lot of people out there, around more than 17 million developers across 500,000 organizations. And that's why the adoption of Postman is very huge in the industry when it comes to talking about APIs in general. So that's about Postman. I have I use Postman since it was like a Chrome extension because I always worked with APIs and Postman made my life easier back then. Even though I did not work for Postman, I really like the product, and kind of using it to kind of query APIs and so on and so forth. But now it is, more extensive. And from a Chrome app, you can see we have a web app. We also have a desktop app, which you can actually go ahead and use. And it's free. If you're using it as a single user, it's free forever. If you're using, in teams, it's free up to 3 people. You can collaborate among 3 people, privately. But if you talk about public collaboration, it's unlimited free. So you can create as many public workspaces as you want and collaborate with as many people, on the internet as you want free of cost. So there's, no costing associated there. Apart from that, if you are a student or an educator and you are kind of looking to build something on top of Postman, we are happy to provide you with licenses. So you can reach out to your student leader on your campus and they can reach out to us, and then we can kind of give you a enterprise level license, which you can kind of use to collaborate with your peers and build something cool around APIs. So that's about Postman and the student programs. Coming to, the things which we offer to students in general. So we have 3 major programs which are focused towards students and educators together. So there's a student expert program, a student leader program, and then there's Postman classroom program. Just to give you an idea, I'll kind of share my screen because you will be able to see all that talk which I'm doing right now. So let me quickly go ahead and share my screen. So this is the page for student programs basically, and you can see, so our vision with the student programs is to promote API literacy. And that's what we are kind of trying to do with all these three programs. So the first one is the student expert program. It's more like a certification. So you can go ahead, you can register for it and complete it in an end-to-end capacity on your own. You don't need any external person to kind of teach you that. You can actually do that. It's self-paced, completely self-paced. So you can go ahead and certify yourself. Even if you're not a student, you can actually go ahead and do that certification because we don't limit people to learn, right? So you can, regardless if you're a student or not, the certification is for everyone. So you can go ahead and get yourself certified. The benefit of getting certified is that now, as Postman is used as a mainstream tool in the industry, you now have a skill set on top of your resume, which is going to kind of, enable you to kind of stand out of the crowd. Apart from that, you can also add it to your LinkedIn, and, an add-on certification always helps. Then comes a student leader program. That's where you can advocate for API literacy with us. So student leader program is more of where you have completed the certification and now you want more. You want to engage yourself in our programs, and this is where if you are from different campuses, you can go ahead and become a student leader for your campus. And this is where we would kind of enable you or support you monetarily, in your journey, non-monetarily in your journey, providing speakers, providing support, and enable you to kind of go ahead and talk about APIs in general on your campus and make your campus API literate. So that's around the student leader program. Again, the student leader program is restricted to one per campus, so we don't have like a lot of student leaders per campus. But yeah, for bigger campuses, you can have 2 to 3 student leaders. So feel free to apply. But if you already have a student leader in your campus, then in that case, you can reach out to the student leader and be part with them in their team, and kind of walk around to make your campus API literate. And the last program is classroom program, which is targeted towards educators. So if you have a professor who are kind of teaching web development in your journey, right, and they're talking about APIs and how they work together, and you want them to kind of teach you Postman in much more detail. So we have designed classroom program which enables teachers to use the content which we have developed and teach students around APIs in general. As you can see, there are literally forms and pointers at each section, which you can go navigate and have a look at. And this is a map of already students and colleges which are already part of these programs in any capacity. So yeah, go ahead, have a look at our amazing student leaders, what work we are doing. Obviously, join our Discord community, which is a vibrant community where you will be able to kind of talk with other people and learn about APIs in general, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'll put this link in the chat just in case you want to kind of have a look at it.
Right. So, guys, do check out the Postman Student Expert Program. That is an amazing program. I myself knew nothing about APIs before doing that, but the hands-on sessions, the hands-on section is so amazing. I literally learned so much about APIs in that one single session. So yeah, do check out the Student Expert programs, and Alisa
And do
also,
join the, like the Discord server. It's really amazing.
also shared the Discord link for the Postman student community. Do join the server, and if you guys have any thing you need to discuss about your projects, about APIs, or have any questions, any doubts about APIs, you can get help there. That is an amazing community.
Oh yes, and even if you are kind of just looking forward to learn something, right? Our Discord server is very vibrant, so you will actually be able to see, different sections. You can share your projects, you can share your swags. As you can see, there are a lot of buzz, and we also have like foodie channels. So in case you're feeling hungry, you can kind of go ahead and see photo images of different amazing foods out there. So it's a good community where you could be part of and kind of walk around and share about yourself as well.
Okay.
Okay, so Ali, we got to know that APIs are cool. Postman is amazing. I think we all get that by now. But the you know API literacy and the very skill of API is a very sought after skill in the industry, and the industry is slowly taking a API first approach. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, like in software development, obviously from time to time, we redefine the whole process, right? Of how we write code, of how we look at things, how we kind of, build softwares. And this is basically that soft spot around learning the API first approach, because this is the time where it is, the industry is adopting API first approach on a scale. Okay. And that's why you see, if you see Postman growing, that's because, APIs are growing, right? And, people are developing APIs, they are using an API platform to actually kind of work around with their API ecosystem, right? So, when I talk about API first, like, so this revolution, around, so APIs are not new. They are not like, they came in like 2010 or 20, last year. They have been there forever. And web APIs kind of existed forever, right? From the tape, internet came into existence. So, the whole idea around API first approach or API first development is to kind of ease the process of development, right? So earlier, what we would do is we would just, grab our favorite code editor and start writing code, right? And then be like, okay, this is the sign-up form, this is user profile, this is XYZ feature, this is XYZ feature, and then teams will collaborate. They would kind of start building stuff and then, combine it together. Now, there's no problem with that, it works fine. But when you are scaling it up, right? So now there's a new team in your company which wants to do, machine learning on the user behavior. Now they want that specific data points and they want that from data team. But now data team kind of hard coded the whole stuff and they are not able to share that, right? And this is where the problem begins. So now you as a developer, in XYZ team is not solving your problem, but debugging someone else's problem in the very first place, right? So API first development enables you to kind of, build building blocks, little building blocks, which you can attach together and then build a software in a parallel mode, in a microservices mode. So what you kind of technically do is you kind of go ahead and then you, basically build a user profile. So there's an API for that. Registration, there's an API for that. Login, there's an API for that. Okay. And then now if any other team comes and be like, hey, I want to use this user registration in my form, it's just like, hey, this is the API. But for the documentation, you're right. And that reduces this friction of you debugging, the other side of the part because, you have an API and that is going to solve all the problem which is going to come. So in today's world, in modern development, you don't really need to develop everything from scratch. What you could do is you could actually use that. You can use the features which are developed by other developers in your applications. And kind of save a lot of time. For example, if you see Instagram, they use GIFs a lot, right? So you might see on Instagram stories, you can, if you're a creative person, you use that arrow GIF and, all that stuff, crazy stuff. But if, Instagram wanted to develop their own GIF repository, that would take them a long time, right? To kind of go ahead and, collect GIFs and then create a different, create a community to kind of cater to that and so on and so forth. So what they do, they use Giphy. So Giphy is a, very good GIF repository. So they just integrate Giphy into their own application, and now you can use any GIFs available over Giphy, right? And Giphy kind of take care of adding GIFs, etc., etc. So Instagram does not have to worry about it. And you can also use Giphy, right? So you in your own application can use that API as well. So that kind of eases a lot of things for you as a developer.
So it's like having pre-made modules so that our software development, the time period we take is a more efficient one and we can build products much faster than we might be doing, let's say, some years back.
Absolutely. And the major part there is not just around kind of, building it fast, but also be able to, choose your language, right? So
Exactly.
let's say if you are, in this in the same company, and someone is using JavaScript and someone is using Python, right? It just becomes very difficult to collaborate.
Yeah.
If you have an API, a REST API, doesn't matter what you look, walk on the back end. It's just gonna kind of walk around with the API specs and get it done. So yeah, gives you a lot
Exactly.
of flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. And also like it's helps you to make things scalable, just like you mentioned as well in previously as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can kind of integrate features, on the fly.
Mhm.
Right, Ali, also you mentioned about REST API. So we have a question from the audience where Shovik is asking REST API or GraphQL
GraphQL.
API.
Yeah, there has been a lot of debate, and I don't want to, get into debates, obviously, in a live session. But there are obviously different types of APIs which a lot of people use. There are REST APIs, there are GraphQL APIs. People kind of still use old frameworks which are still existent. People use SOAP and so on and so forth. There's no right answer to it that, hey, you should use REST API or you should use GraphQL, right? It totally depends on your use case, what you are trying to achieve at the end of the day, right? What is the crux of your software foundation? How your API is going to behave? Who the API is catered to? How is the developer going to consume these APIs, and so on and so forth, right? So all these parameters play a very, very important role while deciding, which framework you would want to go ahead and start developing your API, onto. Should it be REST? Should it be GraphQL? Or whatever it is. It's just that REST provides a lot of flexibility when it comes to laying protocols. So REST is not that of a strict framework. It's more of, okay, these are the rules, and you can go ahead and follow these rules, and it will be a REST API. But again, if you don't follow these rules, it's fine, but you're not completely a REST API. In comparison to other frameworks which kind of provide very strict rules, and they're like, okay, these are the things which you need to kind of do, and these are the things you need to take care of. Absolutely. So again, the choice is completely based on what you're trying to do. And, I have a really great article by Kin Lane, which is our API evangelist. So I'll kind of share that article with you folks. And that actually talks about these things in much more detail. And then I will be able to talk. So yeah.
All right. All
Right.
right. So we have a question. Another question in chat box is, what is special about Postman which makes it different from other competitors in the market? Like
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Mhm.
So see, there are a lot of clients available, in the market right now. And when Postman started off, you did not find all of these, right? Because
Yeah.
Postman was the first one to kind of do that UI, enable people to kind of, walk around with APIs over UI. And then it was a Chrome extension, so it was not that feature rich. It kind of provided some features and so on and so forth. But when Abhinav realized that a lot of people are using this, and a lot of people are using it for kind of developing APIs at their companies, and they are requesting features which is kind of not possible to kind of do it just on the fly on a Chrome extension. And this is when the all the co-founders kind of came in and then established the product itself, right? Which kind of found which the product which you see today, which kind of is so much, which has so many features and so on and so forth. When I compare it to other, kind of clients which are out there, the basic idea which Postman gives you, which Postman enables you is simplicity. Okay, so the UI is very intuitive. You can kind of achieve everything and anything via the UI. It also has a lot of open source projects, which kind of enables you to kind of run the entire collection via the command line. You can go ahead and be part of a Postman's open source journey. Apart from that, the collaborative feature. So right now, I'm not sure if any platform provides you literal Git control over your API collections, which Postman does. So you can actually fork a collection, you can edit it, and you can create a pull request. And then the creator of the collection can actually merge that pull request and kind of, complete the whole life cycle. So features like that, like full complete Git control and everything, in general, this is something which is obviously an add-on to the developer's life. And then collaboration. you can comment on stuff, and you can absolutely do so many more things while kind of working on different teams, and share things, share comments. You can literally comment on a specific URL, like within the Postman ecosystem and everything. So the whole ecosystem in general kind of gives you a lot of features and enables you to kind of do a fast pace development in general, as comparison to other other competitors in general. And the last part which I wanted to add was around the public workspaces. So I don't know if you have ever used that, but it's a very good feature, right? So what you do is basically kind of go ahead and whatever API you are using, you're kind of going ahead and creating an open version of it, and then people go and kind of import that, literally import it, and then be able to use that API without much of a hassle. Believe me, I have saved so many hours. Just so whenever I used to work with a new API, I would firstly search for its Postman collection. If it
Yeah.
existed, I'm like, oh god, this is good. Okay, because I'm just gonna import that, change the keys, and the API works absolutely fine, right? There's no problem in the working of the API. I'm I don't have a headache of replicating if the API is working or not. So I guess that is an absolutely good feature, which I would definitely want you folks to try on. But yeah, every other competitor obviously has their own ups and downs, and everything. So it totally depends on what use case you are trying to solve and what things you are trying to work on. Postman supports the complete life cycle, from integration to designing to mocking the server to everything. So it gives you like a one-stop platform instead of using 2, 3 platforms to do differently.
Also
I have a
documentation.
Yeah, documentation, absolutely. Auto-generating it, auto-generating code and whatnot, visualization, and there are so many features. But then I'll share a very good article from Abhinav, who is our CEO. So he shared around the API, like the whole life cycle ecosystem, right? So not just Postman, right? All the other competitors which are also part of this life cycle, right? So basically, let's say Swagger Hub, or let's say Insomnia, or let's say other clients, right? And then you can compare these with Postman and see, okay, Postman does this better, Postman fits your, Insomnia is your, and then Swagger Hub is your, and then other things, right? Which gives you an idea that, okay, these are the tools which are available in the market, and you can kind of go ahead and basically use these in your development journey. So yeah, I'll share that link as we talk. I'll just Google it once. So yeah.
All right. Right.
All
So,
right. So
yeah, I guess the
okay,
next question.
I know you can continue.
Yeah, sure. All right. So next question we have from Chetak. So Chetak is asking, so can you share your journey from college to becoming the student community lead, like that whole path journey that you have?
Absolutely. I love talking about myself. uh,
Everyone does.
but yeah, so I guess when I started off, I did not do 11, 12th, right? So I did 10th. So that's like I cleared my SSC. And then I wanted to do 11, 12 like everyone else, because we thought college life is so much fun, the vibe, not attending college, and everything in general. So I told my parents that, hey, I'm gonna go 11, 12th, and they were like, no, you are going to do diploma. And that's where my career kind of shifted. So I would be very different if I did 11, 12th and kind of follow that path. But that is where my career kind of shifted to technical side of things, right? And I still remember in my whole batch, only 2 people did diploma, right? Me and my friend, and everyone did 11, 12 because that was like literally everyone wanted to do. And diploma is like school. It's no different. It's exactly school, but we have uniforms and everything. Okay, so it's exactly school, but it's a 6-month school. So you have like a C++ programming book this much thick, and you have to finish it in 6 months. And then Java, and then all that stuff. And that's where I started my journey in tech, in information technology in general. And funny part, I never wanted to do IT because I was more interested in mechanical, but then I did not get a seat in mechanical, so IT. So that's how we like my journey started off in the technical space. And 1 year down the line, I was a good student, scoring around 80, 90 percentage. We had pointers from 10 pointer to 7 pointer, 8 pointer and stuff. And after 1 year, I was like, life is not interesting. It's very boring. Let's make it interesting. And that's when I started searching for ways in which I could skip school. Okay. So it's like, what can I do so I don't have to attend classes? So I discovered a lot of times presentations were happening, external college events were happening, technical events were happening. So you're part of these, you technically did not have to attend college. So it's like, this is an interesting way to skip. Let's go ahead and let's start participating. And that's how I started participating in these events, right? And in second year, I started participating, and then that's how the whole journey started around community. And I started volunteering for GDG Cloud Mumbai. I used to kind of go there just for pizzas, right? To be very frank with you folks. But then that pizza journey turned into kind of becoming a volunteer, to becoming the organizer, and I started kind of contributing, in the GDG ecosystem. And I used to meet a lot of Googlers there. Okay, so a lot of Googlers would come and talk and kind of share their journey. And this is where I met Praveen Das, who was the program manager for Google Crowdsource. And this guy was like, an ex-army man, so he actually went into, very fit, very dynamic, and the way he would speak would kind of, put the whole crowd like in active mode. And I really liked his style. And I kind of reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, do you have any opportunity for me?" He was like, "Hey, Google Crowdsource is the new program, and you might want to be part of it. We are starting communities and everything." And this is when I started the journey of going to different colleges, talking about crowdsourcing, machine learning in general, and being part of the whole ecosystem. And in that journey of 2 years, we visited more than 180 colleges physically. So we traveled across different colleges, like literally traveled to these colleges and be part of it. And, kind of delivered sessions around machine learning. I developed a course called as Machine Learning Fast Track, and the whole journey kind of, started. And at that time, I was in a session which was at SPIT, I guess, Sardar Patel Institute of Technology in Mumbai. No, that was in NMIMS. Yeah, SPIT was my TEDx talk basically. So in that session, I was the last speaker, and I had like 10 minutes on my hands to kind of go ahead and talk about stuff like machine learning. I was like 10 minutes is very less time to talk about machine learning. So I went in and I talked about applications and showed them some cool demos and everything, and kind of cheer up the whole crowd, in general. And that is where I discovered a few people who are from who are organizing TEDx in their Mumbai chapter, and it was like they reached out and they were like, "Hey, you delivered an awesome speech in 10 minutes. You would want to do the same, but in 15 minutes." In our TEDx. And I kind of prepared for it, then delivered it, and then it got published. So that was a fun journey. But yeah, overall, an opportunity landed another, and then that opportunity landed another, and that's how it kind of the whole journey kind of got created one after another. But I usually say this to people who are getting started, is that focus on discovering opportunities, right? Don't be disheartened if you're rejected from XYZ program. It's good that they rejected you, because now you get to discover 10 different opportunities to kind of discover yourself. And I've been doing that all my life. I've been rejected from so many programs, and my dean especially would tell me Besharam, right? He would be like, "Arey, ye to Besharam hai," like, he would kind of go for like literally any program, just be there and apply. And even if he gets rejected, he would be like, "Hey, that's fine, let's go for the next program, what I can do in my life." So that is the excitement which I carried at that time, and which landed me a TEDx opportunity. And then after the TEDx, I've had like plenty of job opportunities because of good work in the Google ecosystem. I was also part of Intel's program, so I had like good opportunities there as well. And in general, I had like good opportunities everywhere. But then when I was searching for jobs, I discovered this role around Postman, and I used Postman, forever. And I was like, hey, I love this product in general. And then I saw this, job description. You can do, promote, build program from scratch, and do all of that. And I had good experience building programs, and I wanted to do that all my life, right? So there are three stages of things you do. One stage is where you build stuff, right? You're a hardcore builder, and then the second stage is where you scale that, right? So you're not building stuff, but you are helping them scale. So you are reaching out to new colleges, you're adding new members, you're increasing the numbers. And then third stage is where you are actually kind of, noting down the matrix, and then, growing it into multiple different streams and adding more programs and adding value, right? I have done all these three stages at most of the, companies or, communities I've been part of. So I always was excited about the first part, the builder part, right? And then I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and let's build a community for Postman, the student community for Postman. And then I'm the second oldest member of the team. I guess Smith is the oldest member on the team, and I'm the second oldest member on the team on the student program. So we kind of envisioned that, hey, this is what we want to build, and this is what these are the different things we want to iterate on, and then build this program as a value driven program, and make it like a different program than the existing ones in the community, and see if we kind of create more impact and so on. So our complete goal was to promote API literacy, and that's what we have been doing. So yeah, that makes sum up the whole journey.
All right, so it's a rather interesting journey about you. That sort of answers one of the questions one of our audience is having. She wanted to know more about your TEDx journey as well.
Yeah, I guess that answers both of it. So yeah, but yeah, the TEDx was very exciting. Because so I have been, in my early career stage when I told you, like, I physically visited these 150 plus colleges. So I have a lot of insight around how these students work, right? In different parts of India, in South, in North, in West, and like everywhere, because I have traveled so much. So I used to get a lot of offers of writing books, right? That, hey, we will, and like write your journey and all that. And I always used to be like, hey man, I'm just like 20 right now. So I don't think, a book would be good at this moment in time. Obviously, I'll, grow a little bit more and, do this probably when I'm in my 40s or in my 30s, and then at that time I will kind of write something along these lines. But with TEDx, they were very insistent. They were like, hey, let's do this. It would definitely be a very good step, and it's just 15 minutes, right? So you just curate it and just tell about people how you kind of went to these colleges, how you discovered opportunities and everything in general. So yeah.
Okay, cool enough. So we have another question that says, okay, is Ali offline?
No, I'm online.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw you offline. So there's another question by Shovik which says, what are the limits of API users? Like, is there any limit as such?
Absolutely not. So I don't think so. Obviously, there would be, like, limits to every technology, right? In general, so machine learning can do things which and cannot do things, right? Same way softwares can do specific things and they cannot do specific things, right? In same way, in terms of APIs, they can absolutely do literally everything. And I cannot think of things which API cannot do, because the ecosystem right now is so strong that we have like hardware level APIs, we have like libraries which act as API, and so many different stuff. But if you kind of see the limitations from a technical perspective, a lot of times you will see rate limiting and like stuff which kind of gives you more control over security of APIs. But then again, and that is how it is designed to be. Like, it's not designed to be kind of uh, you know kind of go and do anything and everything. But yeah, there are no specific limitations, I would say. Like, if you're doing real time, you have WebSockets. If you're doing, query based, you have GraphQL. If you're doing like, normal API, you have REST. If you're doing XML, you have SOAP, so there are like literally so many frameworks out there which will support your journey, like literally for doing whatever you need to do. So like I don't find any, hardcore limitations there. But yeah, if you are starting to grow and you are kind of, facing some limitations, obviously every technology would have some or other limitations in general. So yeah, that's part of the journey. So don't look at limitations in the start. Start learning and then you will discover it, and you will by default be able to overcome yourself.
All right. Yep. I think that was a really great answer. So yeah, I think we can move forward to the next question. Someone named Shreyoshi. She asked us, what is SOAP? SOAP.
So, oh
Yeah.
yeah. So SOAP is basically like our grandpa, right? In the technological ecosystem. Now, I don't say that because, out of disrespect, it's basically like a really, extensive framework which
Mhm.
existed forever. And people use SOAP literally kind of, to write their APIs and so on and so forth. So by the way, the full form of SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol. So that's how Simple Object Access Protocol, SOAP. And SOAP relies very heavily on XML, right? And when I say grandpa, I mean that SOAP is damn strict, okay? When it comes to writing protocols, when it comes to kind of defining what you're actually going to do, on a specific path, how you're going to take care of it, and everything around. So SOAP is like still a very relevant framework. So don't think that it's not very relevant. It's still very relevant. But yeah, the whole idea of SOAP was to basically define everything and rely on XML structure to basically do everything, right? So if you see old APIs, you will still see kind of SOAP kind of being used a lot, and people still kind of adopt SOAP framework when they are working very heavily on protocols which require that strictness in nature. Because as I told you, REST is it is not that strict of a framework. It's more of how you define APIs on the fly. So there are some rules and you follow that rules and you're good, right? But SOAP is like basically you have to, like, there's no alternative to that, right? So that's why like the whole environment of SOAP kind of revolves around that. But yeah, if
All
you
right.
kind of want to have some more ideas around it, I can definitely share more things.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we also actually have another question from the audience. I think it's the last one. We had way too many questions right here. That is, how can Postman help with the security aspect of APIs?
Oh, absolutely. So the majority of the part is, so when you are kind of talking about security, right? So there are two, three things which you need to kind of take care of. The first and the foremost is kind of taking care of your keys, right? So we have something which is called as environment variables, which enables you to kind of hide them. And right now, with more product development, you will see secrets and a lot more. Just give me a moment. My backlight turned off. I'll look a lot shadowy in that case. So yeah, so when we talk generally around security, Postman provides a lot of different features. Now there are two things, right? There is obviously API security in general, how you're securing your APIs, in basically in a general perspective, like adding auto, adding API key, and so on and so forth. And we talk about basically in terms of Postman, how Postman allows you to kind of make it more secure, like test all these auto things, make sure your keys are not spilled out when you're sharing this publicly, and other things around that. So Postman has like a public scanner. So whenever you, let's say you added an API key which was in development and you kind of created the whole collection and you mistakenly made it public with your API keys in it, what the security scanner would do is actually kind of go ahead and discover that keys, and will shoot an email to all your team members saying that, hey, you were working on this specific collection, and basically your API key is kind of public. So kind of go ahead and have a look at that. The second part is around writing test scripts. So earlier, Postman was more or less known as API testing tool, right? So you might have heard Postman used extensively for API testing, and that's like I would say the core feature of Postman around kind of going ahead and testing APIs. So there are two sides of it. There's a test script which you can run. So there are scripts which you can run before the API gets kind of called, and then there are scripts which you can run after the API is basically kind of called, right? So there are like basically use cases for this, and obviously there are like Postman runner. Then there is like different other features which will enable you to envision the cycle of how the API would flow. So let's say a user comes in, user logs in, user goes to profile, user does XYZ action in the profile, and then user logs out. So this flow, you can envision that using runner. Okay. And now flows, which is like the kind of the visual representation of runners. So all these, kind of feature enable you definitely to secure your API to a lot of extent. But yeah, security boils down to how you're kind of coding stuff and kind of defining, the whole specification of your API while designing the API. So that is the major part. But as a tool, Postman does provide you a lot of different features which you can use to secure your APIs in general.
Okay, like I have heard about, like I've seen, like I use Git Guardian. I hope you know what Git Guardian is. So let's
Yes.
say if there is any kind of security threats, like if in your repository, so they directly, they will email you, you will get a notification. So is it like the Postman work exactly like the same way? Like if by chance, like if your API is made public, so like they will give you
Exactly.
a notification and all. Okay.
Exactly.
So
And that's
uh-huh.
on the complete, because you share this collection with developers, right?
Yes,
So at the end of
yes.
the day, people are going to use this collection, a lot. So it's better that we kind of take care of it.
Mhm.
Another good idea is, so you might have heard about Postman proxy, right?
Yeah.
So Postman proxy is where you can capture literally all the requests, which so I usually use that feature when I have kind of coded stuff and I want to kind of create a quick documentation around. So what I'll do is I'll turn on the proxy, and then I'll kind of go to the website and test out different features of the website. So it will kind of use that, endpoint, and then we'll take an action and then record that endpoints, at least for me, to kind of go ahead and kind of walk around. So you can actually use proxy. You can kind of, have like proper add proper SSL certificates. You can kind of do a lot more stuff, with that, different features around. But yeah, there are just so many of them that obviously you can kind of go ahead and explore yourself.
All right. So like like till now we talked a lot about APIs, like, and also we talked about Postman. So can we like actually let's talk about like what are actually this event is, like what Diversion is all about, like open source. I mean, we are just trying to be like like our main idea is to mainly imply that a community learning, a community culture in our college or in our community, right? So that they get they understand what is the importance of open source is. So just I want to ask, like, what are your views on open source, particularly?
Absolutely. So open source has obviously been, there forever, and it will be there forever because open source enables, like a collaborative development,
Mhm.
which also challenges, other big companies of what they are doing, right? So because
Yeah.
open source enables it to be free, to be reused, and so on and so forth. One good part around open source is it's very inclusive of everyone, right? So you can, you don't have to necessarily work at Postman to contribute to features at Postman, right? So
Yes.
we have some open source projects which you can go ahead and raise an issue and contribute to right away. Okay. Instead of kind of coming to Postman engineers and think that, hey, these are the features I need for these, these are things which I kind of need to take care of.
Yeah.
So the whole idea around open source kind of fascinates me a lot, around how you can kind of collaborate with anyone and everyone on every project and kind of add value to these projects while improving your skill set in general. But yeah, lately I also see that a lot of open source projects, this has been like forever. So you might have seen that a lot of open source projects don't get funded enough, right?
Yes.
Which kind of results back into valuing the contributors time. So if
Mhm.
someone is working full time on open source and they are kind of developing tools which are used by hundreds and hundreds of companies, And then the companies don't support these open source projects, which kind of puts these projects in tipsy and kind of, does not enable true open source development. But keeping that aside, still there's a lot of like a lot of companies still support open source projects in general, and you might see GitHub kind of enable sponsors, which kind of is a good way of supporting open source developers on the fly and so on and so forth. But yeah, in general, the open source ecosystem is so much kind of giving than taking that
Yes.
at times you're like, oh, this all is like absolutely free, like you can go in and you can kind of walk around with them, and yeah, you can get your work done easily.
Yeah, and also like to increase the motivation of the developers, like there are like lots of good open source programs that are out there, like GSOC, MLH, Outreachy, and
Yeah, yeah,
GSSOC. Yep. Like I mean, that's a good thing. Like we can see like the developers get some motivation, and and also like for the beginners, they get an exposure towards like to or not only for a particular organization, but they get to know about a lot of projects, and they get started with it. So yeah.
yes, and I absolutely recommend participating in these programs, right? As they give you like a guided tour around open source. So it's not, obviously you as an individual will be able to do it individually, but then if you do it in a group capacity and in this, being part of these programs, it will definitely help you to kind of get started on a front foot, right?
Yeah.
And be like you don't have you will not face much resistance in kind of going out there and contributing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like people should consider like while contributing to this is as if like they're working on a real life project, like they're solving some real life problem, and they have to put some value, like the whatever they are doing, like they have in back of their mind, they should think that they're adding some value to that project, right, through the code.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, so a lot of people think, just adding a comma in the project would, in the README would count as a contribution. Yeah, it counts as a contribution, but then you need to ask yourself, right, if that was your project, right? And that is something which you are doing yourself, like consider it as your project while you're contributing. And now, just instead of comma, you are like basically restructuring the whole README. That adds value. So earlier, the README was not proper, they were not proper formatting, paragraphs were not, proper. And then you added more examples in the README, you kind of changed the whole stuff, which kind of adds value to the developers and also adds value to yourself. Now you're not like, just going and being like, hey, I am a comma open source contributor. No, you are a, literal contributing code, contributing documentation, and little documentation. So yeah, you can contribute in ways, like there is a spectrum of ways. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's all not only about like just like you mentioned, like it's not only about like it's about all about adding values to the code rather than filling up those green squares, just
exactly.
to showcase properly. So yeah.
Yeah, so when I was in diploma, I used to get this a lot, right? So people would kind of add a bot which would make their GitHub green, like from time to time. So it was like, it would commit automatically, every day and would make that contribution box green. And I'd be like, come on, man, like I don't, find a value in that. Like, if you check out my GitHub, it has been like, white forever. Like, because last time I contributed was like 8 to 10 months back. But then the contributions which I make obviously are valuable, and I feel that okay, these are the contributions I need to make. While I'm kind of working on different use cases. So yeah, don't do that. That's one of the main reasons why Hacktoberfest has faced so much criticism in general. It was a great program, like people would come. October was like a festival of open source.
Yes.
And then it turned out to be like a lot of people would come and just
spam.
contribute. Yeah, just spam. So yeah, I don't be that kid, but yeah, contribute. Like if you don't understand what to contribute, the best part is to actually kind of go ahead and make your own repo, right? And contributing your own private repo, it does not disturb the open source community, and it helps you learn. And then once you are confident enough that hey, I can add value to other projects, go ahead and contribute. Who's stopping you?
Yeah, that was a great answer, by the way.
Yeah. So, Ali, do you also think that open source contribution can give you an edge in interviews sometimes?
Absolutely. It will definitely give you an edge because, when you're contributing in open source, you're not just working as an individual. So it's not just a technical skill which is available out on the public, right? So that's one part of it, that, okay, you're doing everything in public, so people kind of see it, right? That, hey, you're doing this, and, they are like, oh, I can rely on this developer. So it adds credibility. That's one part of it. But the other part of it is collaboration. So you are going through this pull request, you created a pull request, now you added comments, and then, there is like list of things going on. Hey, add this feature, do this testing, make sure all the tests are passing, and then make sure there's no conflict, uh, add a branch, push it to that branch, and then, then it will kind of get merged. So the whole process adds a lot more value as a team player to yourself, right? As an individual, that, okay, I was an individual, but now with this project, I'm, part of this team, and it has so many different skill sets on your resume. And if not in the resume, in general, when you are interviewing, all these things matter a lot. Like, I would definitely want to hire someone who has collaborated, with different people than someone who kind of worked individually, right? Because then the onboarding time for me is very less, right? So I have like a 2-month onboarding period, and from that 1 month is around, collaboration, making sure you understand how these comments are added, how these tests are kind of running and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, like there's a large project, there's a mega project there, like you don't know where to start. There's thousands and thousands of lines of code, thousands of files are there. So like where to make changes. So it's better to understand the project first, better to know the people first, like who are going to help you, better to understand the issue, like understand where you can actually, think that you can add value, or if you think that you can't, then you can move forward to some other project. So I think that's how the process should be, and that's what we are also trying to do through our event. Like there are projects and there are project leads, and there are contributors for that project, so they are understanding that we are providing the mentors and all, and they are doing it collaboratively, and they are understanding things, and they are learning many things. Like there are, but the only problem is, there is no such thing. Like, yeah, there are lots of YouTube videos, and many out things are out there in the net, but like people don't get, as a beginner, let's say I'm a first year student, I don't know what to do, I'm completely clueless. So those are kind of things right now, like it's little bit, it's not an, uh I mean, it should be like, there should be a proper facilities, or like proper awareness should be made, such that how to make a good contribution or a valuable contribution. So this is what we are trying to do, and I think like that's how things should work actually. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I usually say this, like, when you are when you are getting started in your open source journey, right? The major part is to kind of learn skills, absolutely whatever you wish to kind of, contribute, right? If I wish to contribute to Kubernetes, I should know Kubernetes in the very first place, right? I cannot just go to the GitHub repo and be like, yeah, I'm going to contribute to Kubernetes, right? Because I don't have the base skill set to kind of, at least look around and understand what this repo is all about. And then the best part is to kind of go to the issues section and check out, what kind of issues you want to solve. And then if there are already existing ones which are taken, and you are very excited about, okay, I can solve this as well, you can collaborate with the person who has taken up that issue and be like, hey, can we share, right? Can we both kind of do one work on this, right? So I guess, incorporating that journey into beginners is something very important, because a lot of times I see, students coming to me and telling me that, hey, the TensorFlow's, repos are so big, and then there are so many repos, where should I contribute? And I'm always like, hey, start from the README, and see, check out the project, check out, examples, and then like you can kind of literally contribute like a notebook to it, right? You can add an example, and you can literally contribute a notebook to it. So you don't have to literally kind of go ahead and kind of search like the really heavy task at start. You can search for little things which needs your attention, and then obviously climb your way up, and kind of do bigger contributions.
Right. So I think that brings point of end of our questions, I guess, Shurjo.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the applications link.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So guys, you guys can go and visit this link, right? And
Also,
another
if
thing,
anyone have anything else to ask,
yeah, like you guys can raise your hand.
in my mind. Is there? It's a suggestion basically. how would you suggest that a college student should balance his or her mental well-being also with the development and studying and everything he or she has to go
Sure,
through?
sure. Yeah, definitely. So what I faced, so you might be kind of, if you look at my LinkedIn and all that, and you're like, hey, Ali, I've done so much in your life. And then when I look back, I'm like, hey, I have burned, literally a lot. So right now I'm at a fragile state of my, physical health, that if something happens, like, when Corona outbreak happened, I was the one who was like absolutely ill, like in every segment. Like whenever a new variant came, I was almost ill with that variant. Okay. And that's because I did not put more emphasis on my health when I was doing all this, right? I used to travel to like 4 colleges in a day, and travel the night and then take a flight and then, go here, take train, go there and everything. And that took a lot of toll on my physical health. Obviously, it would. And I usually say this, as a student community manager, like, a lot of people think DevRel or student community management is like a fancy job, right? You get to travel, you get to, not code a little and then enjoy your life, right? But I say it comes with a mental toll because you don't know students, you know yourselves, right? And
Mhm.
when you get excited, if students are excited, they will just turn around things, see Tanmay stream, everyone here and there creating chaos, absolute chaos. And you are at a position where you are going to manage them, right? And you are also one of that students, you used to be one of that students that, hey, I absolutely want to crush everything, right? I want to do everything. So when you are, starting off your journey as a student, um, learn to manage your time. You know, I absolutely say this is, you have 24 hours and you can divide them into 3 parts, 8, 8, 8. Okay. And absolutely don't compromise on your sleep. I used to do that. Now I sleep for like 12 hours a day. I literally sleep for 10 to 12 hours a day. And that's possible because I now have realized how do I manage my rest of my time, right? So that I can sleep 10 hours a day. Because, earlier when I was at your age, I would like literally sleep 3 hours a day. Like 3 to 4 was maximum. Like I would consume Red Bulls like it was, like paracetamol, like literally every, morning one, every evening one,
I kind of think I do that right now.
yeah. And absolutely, because you think, that like you need more time, 24 hours is not enough, because you feel, you go to Twitter, you go to LinkedIn, and you're like, hey, this guy's doing, so much in his life. Like why can't I also do something similar? So I need more hours, I need more days in general. So, coming revolving back the conversation to your mental and physical health, what you don't understand is, you know is it worth it, right? Is it worth it to earn $1 million but then die at the end of the day? Are you going to spend that $1 million, anywhere? No, you're going to leave that for your children who are going to fight for it, and absolutely crush each other in court and, wherever in real life. So I usually say this is, when you're starting off, create your vision. So I did that in mid of my journey. If I did that when I started off, it would be much easier for me. So, create your vision. What do you want to do? It's absolutely fine to not understand what you want to do. You might have 10 different things you might want to do. Lay down, 10 different things you want to do. So earlier I was interested in, I'll tell you my story. I was interested in, CMS a lot more, content management systems.
Mm.
So I was learning WordPress. I was also a Joomla developer. I also knew Drupal. Okay. With that, I was doing machine learning. I also loved blockchain. So I did a certification on blockchain. I also loved web development. So I was learning how to develop e-commerce website, you know, and with doing all that, you would be like, hey, Ali, then how, how come you focused on one thing and then, learn about that? So I would say I started eradicating stuff because now it was too much on my plate, I was just getting 4 hours of sleep. So I was like, hey, CMS, there are 4 CMS. I don't want to learn all of that. I would want to learn WordPress. I just need to learn WordPress. Okay. Remove all of the other, you know, systems. Okay. That's skill set. in this, in web development, I was like, yeah, I know WordPress. Why do I need to learn web development right now? I can get things done without code. So let's skip web development a little bit. Let's focus on WordPress. So I was like, okay, WordPress is cool. I'll pro it. I'll learn to develop plugins and everything. And, it was in PHP. We learned PHP in diploma. So that was a add-on skill set to me. So zero down, learn everything you start, you find fascinating, learn it, but then zero down, as you're moving forward, that, okay, these are the things I need to do. And then once you zero down, so I am a firm believer that you should not, so I was this, right? I was jack of all and master of none. So I was like, I know this, I know this, I know this, but then I don't know something which is absolutely like I'm master of it, right? When I was almost like delivering these sessions around machine learning, I realized machine learning is my stronghold. Like I don't want to do WordPress, I don't want to do, Drupal, I don't want to do like all this blockchain and stuff right now. I want to do machine learning full-fledged. And that's when I zeroed down on machine learning, learned like literally every, framework out there, and I kind of created a stronghold there. So be a master of one. Like, it's a very bad thing to know everything and then not be a master of anything, right?
Yeah.
That will put you absolutely at nowhere, like, absolutely nowhere. So learn one technology, manage your time, 8 hours, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours fun, 8 hours, college. So again, in that fun time of your 8 hours, you can obviously incorporate. I don't know how colleges are these days, right? With online stuff. Like I absolutely think these 2 years have been blessing for students with, online classes being like, you could do anything in these online classes. But when I was in college, what we used to do was we used to kind of just, bunk these lectures and then go there and, pay visit to HODs every week, and all that stuff. But I used to gamble it all. Okay. So when I was in college, I would just gamble it. Like 70% is your attendance. So I'll not sit for 30%. Like I don't care. And I would just score enough that I am eligible for campus placements, because at that moment it was, it mattered for me, at least for my parents, that you score 60% so that you are at least be able to sit in campus placements, and then you are at least passing all the subjects. So set a bar there. If you want to top, set a bar there, set a goal. Okay, that this is what I want to do in every segment. And then you divide your time, and there is plenty of time. I absolutely think, we waste a lot of time in thinking what to do than doing what needed to be done. Right. So set your goals, be like, okay, these are the things I need to achieve at the weekend, in this week, and do this. I would absolutely love you folks to, go to a trip with friends to Manali at this moment in your time. But I would also say that, hey, if you're going to a trip, and you are going to spend, with your hands closed, right? You're going to be like, hey, instead of living in a 3-star hotel, let's stay, in an Oyo room, instead of going and experiencing paragliding at its fullest form, let's pay 5,000 less and compromise on safety, right? So instead of doing all that, you could actually kind of invest some time learning and, developing your skill set. And then, I did this. So I absolutely kind of, worked for first 3 years in my college. I had friends. It's not like, I did not have friends. I had good friends. And then in final year, I would go with them for trips, and I would be like, myself. Like I would just spend that much amount of gears which I would buy for these trips, which would be like their budget for the whole trip, right? Because I made that much money earning with these skill sets which I learned in first and second year, right? So absolutely, decide your priorities, what you want to do, and then, lay down your path. No one is going to tell you, I literally find this roadmaps as bullshit, because it's their journey, right? They did it their way. Like if I tell you my roadmap, you will not be able to do that, right? I had different circumstances, I had different things, which I need to take care of, and my journey was different, and your journey is going to be absolutely different. If you're happy with a 3 lakh per annum job, be happy with it. No one is, like, don't take it on your mental stress that you have to contribute in 10 different places. And then, you have to earn 20 lakhs per annum. No, if you're happy with 3 LPA, be happy with 3 LPA. But then if there's more, which you can do with little efforts, like go ahead and do that, right? But don't absolutely crush yourself in, thinking that, okay, I have to be that exceptional student. I have to kind of, stay awake till, 3 in the morning to kind of accomplish these things. You absolutely don't have to. You just have to kind of schedule things properly. Calendar is going to be your friend forever. So make calendar your friend, put everything on calendar. I absolutely don't go to events which are not on my calendar. Like even if someone has verbally confirmed it to me and I have not received a calendar invitation, I'll not go to that event because I've already dedicated that event, that time to some other event, or that's my free time. So when people ask me, how you are so busy, how do you get these many things done? Like you are a co-organizer of TFUG, you are a co-organizer of GDG, you are a student committee lead at Postman. So how do you do all that? And I'm like, hey, everything is on my calendar. Even, the tea time is on my calendar. Okay. So when I'm saying, I don't have time on my calendar, it absolutely means that it's not like I'm just, overburdening myself with everything. What I'm absolutely doing is I'm managing time for everything, and I have literally, slots available everywhere. Okay. So I used to play Mobile Legends, which was like a good game, like a MOBA game, um, before it got banned. So I literally had like 1.5 hour in day dedicated for 3 games, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. So yeah, you want to play PUBG, play it, but make sure your time focuses are, exactly on the place.
Right.
I think that was a great answer, and I could actually relate a lot to it. I think everybody could relate a lot to it. We do have a lot to learn, but I think we have to wrap up this session right about now. So,
Yep.
Arnav, you
Yep.
can
Yep.
announce.
I think like since at the end we have this kind of a tradition or kind of a culture that at the end we take a whole picture for all the
Oh, yes.
participants and all.
I
So
love it as well.
yep. So I would request everyone. I would request everyone to turn on their videos.
Yeah, Arnav,
Right.
can I hold for 5 minutes? Can I hold for 5 minutes?
Yep. Sure.
Right. Until then, Arnav, you can announce about the social media challenge.
Yes, of course. So
Oh,
what
yeah.
you can do is you guys just need to take a screenshot, right, of this session, or if you have taken it before, then that's very good. And if you can even take right now, and also you can take the end photo that you are going to take a selfie. So you just all you need to do is just write about the session, like what you feel like, and tag
And what you
us
learned from the session.
what
I'm
you
pretty
learn
sure
from the session.
everyone had a lot to take away from the session.
Yes, of course, it was really a great, valuable session. So all you need to do is like just post it in your LinkedIn or Twitter, right? And use hashtags like use tag us, tag ACM, tag Postman, tag Ali, right? And it will be great if you share your views, and we'll be selecting one winners from each social media platform, like one from LinkedIn and one from Twitter. And yep, and then we will definitely reach out to you if you win it. So just like last one was won by one of the first year student, and in fact the another session that we had in the afternoon around 12, that also will be announcing it shortly. So yeah, so this is what it is like. You can even go and follow Ali as well, and also I will be sharing you a feedback form, right? I mean, it will be great if you just we love to have your feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
Please fill the feedback form, right? I would love to improve over a period of time.
yes.
So yeah, please
Yeah,
do that.
so this is the thing, I have posted it, so you guys can go and just fill it up, and just give your reviews. And if you want us to like you want to see like if you have any kind of feedback, then let us know, right? If you want us to improve in some place somewhere or anything like that. So yeah, so I
Yeah.
think everyone, you guys can turn on your videos. It will be really
Yeah.
great.
Till the time
Everyone.
you folks are turning it on, just I wanted to answer this question because it's a very good question
Yeah.
from Saptarshi. It was like, how should an organization determine whether to open source their products or design them as proprietary software? Um, if you see Postman's, so a lot of people ask, why Postman is not like completely open source, like the whole product, right? And a lot of people ask these questions to other products as well, and if you ask these questions to the founders, they will absolutely, crush these people who are like, that, hey, why is it not open source? Because when it was open source, when they did open source work, right? No one kind of supported them. Okay. There was not enough contributors, there was not enough funds to take care of. I have seen so many projects just shut down because the main sponsor kind of backed off, and there's like no funds to kind of take care of. And literally it's so hard to survive the software market, because what you're doing open source, someone can grab that and make it proprietary and be like, hey, I'm going to charge money for it, right? So more or less it's the choice, right, which you make. while you are kind of developing open source or proprietary software, that, hey, do I want to cater to a specific audience? So here, if you see, Postman caters to enterprise audiences, right? And caters to individual developers, but majority enterprise audiences. Enterprises like, okay, if you provide us proper support, we are going to pay you. Okay, and that's how the model works. And then it also stays free for individual developers forever, right? So there are different business models there, but yeah, I absolutely think this question is, more towards you to decide, like, looking at the open source ecosystem, hey, do I need to kind of get into there and, decide what I want and, how I want it. And so, yeah, they both have their different benefits, but yeah.
Right.
Post I disable to open video. Hey, folks, you have to enable.
Right, I gave you the permission.
Yep.
Oh, yes. No.
Yep.
Oh,
The permission has been given. So yep, you guys can turn on your videos. Okay.
oh, yeah.
Yep.
Let's do.
That's great. Okay. Someone is saying, okay, feedback form is required permission. Just give me a sec. Guys. I will just.
Yeah, after we click the picture, we'll
After
give
we click the picture, then we will be, turning on the responses. So please hold on.
We can share it in a group also.
Yeah, we will be sharing
Yeah,
it in the
we'll
group
do
as
that.
well. So please don't worry. Okay, it's completely all right. So yep. Let's take a selfie without any, Swapnil, can you take the screenshot, please?
Yeah, I'm taking the screenshot.
Mhm.
So in 3, 2, 1. Cool now.
And another one by making any signs, or if you want to dab, that also fine.
Another one, just a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Cool now.
All right.
All right, so thank you everyone for joining.
Yep. And also a short announcement for all the leads and project leads and the contributors out there. So we are going to having the final presentation session from 4:30. So you have been emailed your respective slots. So, and the link has been provided to you a link has been emailed to you. So just do join accordingly. And yep, we are happy to see your projects and the contributions you have done. So yeah, and also thanks to Ali. It really means a lot to us. Thanks for giving your time. Right. And also, Shurjo, want to say something? You want to add something?
I don't really have anything to add though. Thank you, Alisa, for being here. It means a lot to every one of us. Yeah, so that's it, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were really looking forward to this session for a really long time.
Oh,
Yes.
It was great to have you.
Yes.
absolutely.
Actually.
I love interacting with students, obviously, because you folks are the future. So yeah, it's fun.
And of course, like, I hope you guys you remember us like from API Fest. We're seeing you from API Fest that we were the project SATs, me, Shurjo, and Swapnil. And also one more member is there.